the SBIR program at NOAA. My name's Genevieve Lind, and I am the program manager for NOAA's SBIR program. I'm going to start by talking a little bit about SBIR, STTR at a high level across all the agencies, just to lay a little bit of the foundation, and then I'll get into the details of the NOAA SBIR program, and at the end, talk about some other potential resources for innovators who are interested in engaging with the federal government. So if you're not familiar, the SBIR, Small Business Innovation Research, and STTR, Small Business Technology Transfer Programs, also known as America's Seed Fund, are one of the largest sources of early stage capital for technology commercialization in the United States. These programs allow U.S. owned and operated small businesses to engage in federally supported research and development that have strong commercial potential. America's Seed Fund is congressionally mandated depending on an agency's budget. Agencies with an extramural research and development budget over $100 million per year are required to set aside 3.2% of that budget for the SBIR program. Agencies with extramural research budgets over $1 billion set aside an additional portion of their budget for the STTR program. The goals of the SBIR and STTR programs are to meet federal research and development needs, to increase private sector commercialization of innovation derived from federal research and development funding, to stimulate technological innovation, to foster and encourage participation in innovation and entrepreneurship by women and other socially or economically disadvantaged individuals. And one additional goal of the STTR program is to foster technology transfer through cooperative research and development between small businesses and research institutions. There are 11 federal agencies with SBIR programs, and 6 additional agencies also have an STTR program. The agencies with STTR are shown in the dark blue on this slide. You will note that NOAA is not one of the agencies that has an STTR program, as our budget does not exceed that $1 billion mark, but we do have an SBIR program. NOAA is also included under the Department of Commerce with our sister agency NIST, who also has an SBIR program. Overall, the SBIR and STTR budgets amount to over 7,000 awards made to small businesses every year and nearly $4 billion in funding. Each agency administers its own independent program within guidelines established by Congress. Agencies will release a solicitation at least annually with research topics that align with the agency's mission. The Small Business Administration acts as a coordinating agency that oversees America's Seed Fund on a national level. Important component of the program is that you have to be a small business in order to apply. So what is a small business? According to the SBA definition, a small business is a company. A company must be a for-profit, U.S. owned and operated, and employ under 500 people. The work proposed in an SBIR project has to be done in the United States, and the focus should be on performing research and development, not purchasing equipment or commercializing a technology that has already been developed. There are a number of reasons why one might seek funding from the SBIR program. First of all, it provides seed funding for innovative technology development. There is no repayment required. This is not a loan, so it is considered non-dilutive capital. Additionally, small businesses do retain the intellectual property rights, including for all data, proposals, reports, etc., and that information is protected for 20 years. Additionally, receiving support through the SBIR program can provide recognition, verification, and visibility that can be used to leverage or attract other funding resources or collaboration. Ultimately, it's a tool to de-risk your technology for further investment. And finally, receiving funding through the SBIR or STTR program can lead to sole source acquisition of the resulting technology at any of the federal agencies. At a high level, the SBIR and STTR programs are generally structured into 3 phases. Phase 1 supports feasibility and proof of concept research, and these awards range from 6 months to 1 year and $50,000 to $250,000 depending on the agency. Phase 2 supports further research and development for 24 or more months, and these awards range from about $500,000 to $1.5 million depending on the agency. And phase 3 supports the commercialization phase of the technology. The important thing about phase 3 is it's not funded by that set aside 3.2% budget. The objective of phase 3 for the SBIR program is for small businesses to pursue commercialization resulting from phase 1 and phase 2 research and development activities. Depending on an agency, can include procurement through sole source contracts, but it also can include private sector investment or sales of the technology. Again, importantly, phase 3 is not funded by the SBIR set aside budget. Uh, there can be a variety of differences between how agencies administer their program. One of the most important one is the agency's mission. First and probably foremost, any SBIR program is going to serve the mission of the agency that it is a part of in terms of the research and development areas that are generally going to be supported. There is overlap between some agency missions and technology that you are developing may fit more than one agency. Understanding an agency's mission and talking to SBIR program managers is an important part of developing a successful SBIR application. Some additional differences include the number and timing of solicitations over the fiscal year, the award type, amount, and structure, with the biggest difference being contracts versus grants. Again, the topics of interest can vary in their specificity from broad high-level topics to specific, and agencies vary in terms of whether they're more focused on commercial versus acquisition as the ultimate goal. And finally, and importantly, proposal preparation instructions and the review process can vary between the agencies, so it's important to understand the details of the agency that you are planning on applying to. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more specifically about NOAA and the NOAA SBIR program. If you're not familiar with NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, our mission, which is founded in science, service, and stewardship, is to understand and predict changes in climate, weather, oceans, and coasts, to share that knowledge and information with others, and to conserve and manage coastal and marine ecosystems and resources. NOAA is divided into 6 line offices or departments within NOAA, and those include the National Marine Fisheries Service, National Environmental Satellite Data and Information Service, National Weather Service, National Ocean Service, our Office of Marine and Aviation Operations, and finally, Oceanic and Atmospheric Research. And this is where our labs, programs, and centers are housed. The SBIR program is also housed in Oceanic and Atmospheric Research, or OAR, as we call it. What the NOAA SBIR program is looking for are proposals for highly innovative technologies with strong commercial potential that fit within those NOAA mission areas. And I will note again that NOAA does not have an STTR program. We only have SBIR. Our annual budget ranges from about $15 to $18 million, and we administer our awards through grants as our funding mechanism. We have one solicitation per phase per year, and that typically comes out sometime in the fall. We're looking at an October to November timeline for our phase 1 solicitation. Our phase 1 awards support feasibility and proof of concept for 6 months and up to $175,000. We fund about 15 to 30 awards per year and have about a 10% success rate in phase 1. Our phase 2 program is a follow-on opportunity for phase 1, so you are only eligible for phase 2 if you have completed phase 1 with NOAA. These awards are for 24 months and up to $650,000. We have a higher success rate in phase two because you're only eligible if you've completed phase one, and that success rate ranges between 50 and 75% because we fund about 10 to 15 of those awards per year. Again, phase three, NOAA does provide some technical and business assistance for our phase one and phase two awardees. And we do also offer some phase three awards through our agency as well. So our funding opportunity and application takes place via grants.gov. So this is where you will find all the information that you need in order to apply. If you are thinking that you might be interested, definitely check out the NOAA SBIR website where you can sign up for our email list. This is the first place that we send any new information when new solicitations are posted. Again, the focus for phase one should be on performing research and development and at the feasibility or proof of concept stage. NOAA allows one application per company per year. If you are thinking about applying, there are a number of registrations that need to take place before you can submit an application. And some of these can take quite a bit of time to be processed. So you want to make sure that you're getting ahead of the game if you are thinking about applying. Our grants management systems is through ERA Commons, so you will want to set up an account for that. You also are required to be registered in the SAM system for award management. This is required for businesses to do business with the U.S. government. It's important to remember that your SAM registration has to be renewed annually. And this will result in a UEI, which is a unique organization identifier for your small business. Additionally, you are required to be registered for grants.gov. This is in order to access the application system and process. And this is a federal-wide grant portal where you can apply to a variety of agencies who are offering grants. Finally, you have to be registered with the Small Business Administration. This is required to participate in the SBIR and STTR programs at all of the agencies, so make sure that you're taking care of all of these registrations in advance if you are thinking about applying. Most of these systems and platforms are outside of the individual agencies that are offering the awards. So if you have issues or technical challenges with those systems, there's usually not much that the agency can do to support you through that because they're independent systems. And so it's important to do those as far in advance as possible, because if there are any technical challenges, we won't be able to extend deadlines. Let's talk a little bit more about what the NOAA application looks like. This is an important part of the process, and so it can be helpful to understand the details of the application itself if you're thinking about applying. The NOAA application consists of a project narrative, which is the main technical description of your project. The details of the project narrative are laid out in that notice of funding opportunity that you find on grants.gov, and it has a list of sections and questions, and there's also a checklist in the appendix, so you can make sure you're including all of the information that you need to be successful. The second piece of your application is the budget narrative. And finally, there are some standard forms that are accessed via the grants.gov platform that collect information about your company and details about the project. Additional attachments that are a component of the SBIR application are letters of commitment from any subcontractors that you plan on working with your project. These letters of commitment are a required component. Additionally, you can include letters of support to support the technical or commercial value of the project. Letters of support are not required, but they are strongly encouraged. Additional documents include your indirect cost rate agreement, your company registry form from registering with the SBA, and the research and related personal data, and finally the fraud awareness training certificate. There's more information about all of these items in the notice of funding opportunity, but you want to just make sure you're paying attention to all the details of what's required when you're submitting an application. So, what kinds of technologies is NOAA interested in? As I mentioned before, agencies range in their topics from very broad to very specific, and NOAA issues very broad topics that for the last number of years have been based on high level strategic documents that guide the scientific work of NOAA and our mission. Um, Most recent topics have been based on the NOAA Water, Weather, Climate Strategy, and you can find that document online if you're interested in learning more about the details of these items. Um, the topics for the last couple of years have included extreme weather events and cascading hazards, coastal resilience, the changing ocean, water availability, quality, and risk, the effects of space weather, and monitoring and modeling for climate change mitigation. NOAA also has a few scientific and technical focus areas, which are particular approaches that the Bureau is paying extra attention to right now. Some of these include uncrewed systems, artificial intelligence, data and cloud computing, omics, and citizen science. You can find more information about why we're thinking about these particular areas and what we're thinking about uh, on the NOAA website. And I strongly recommend reviewing these resources as a tool to help understand how the agency is thinking about the scientific challenges that we face in our mission space and what kinds of solutions are likely to find success within our program. Looking at the application process for the NOAA SBIR program. So our solicitations are published on grants.gov, and the full application is due about 2 months after the NOFO is posted. Again, be sure to sign up for our newsletter if you want to be notified as soon as a new funding opportunity becomes available. After applications are submitted, they first go through a process to verify eligibility and adherence to program requirements. And those that are eligible and adhere to the requirements go through our full review process. Successful Phase 1 awardees are eligible to apply to Phase 2 after their Phase 1 project. Phase 2 goes through a similar process, as you can see here on this slide, but with the addition of a commercialization plan as part of the proposal process. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how to develop a successful application for the NOAA SBIR program. So understanding how applications are going to be evaluated is essential to developing a successful proposal. Our applications first undergo an administrative process to make sure you have submitted a complete application and that you meet the eligibility requirements in order to apply for the program. We are not able to evaluate incomplete applications, so make sure that you do meet those eligibility criteria before you put in all of the effort to submit an application. And be sure that you submit a complete application to make sure that it goes through the review process. There is a checklist that is included in the appendices of our Notice of Funding Opportunity, and it's also available on our website under Applicant Resources page. This lists the eligibility criteria and the required documents and was designed to help ensure that you are meeting all of these eligibility requirements and submit a complete application. After we check to make sure the applications have met these minimum requirements for review, each application is reviewed individually by up to 3 reviewers and scored on 4 weighted criteria. Those criteria include the scientific, merit, or technical approach, which is weighted at 40 points, the level of innovation at 20 points, commercial potential and societal impact at 20 points, and qualifications of the team and the research environment at 20 points. Final award recommendations are based on rank scores and also include consideration of a number of other factors, including our overall budget, our portfolio balance, prior awards, diversity across participants geographically, by type of institution, by partner, or by researchers, and some additional factors. All of these selection criteria are listed in the Notice of Funding Opportunity if you want to learn more details about those as well. So now that you have an understanding of the program details, I want to cover a few of my basic tips to support your success as you navigate the experience of applying for the NOAA SBIR program. As was hopefully clear from the review criteria, the 4 key components of your proposal are science, innovation, commercialization, and team. NOAA is first and foremost a scientific organization. Science is the foundation of the NOAA mission and should provide the foundation of your application. A large portion of your score is based on the scientific and technical merit of your proposal, so make sure that you are clearly identifying the significance of the problem or opportunity and detailing the technical objectives of your proposal from a scientific perspective. But also, be aware that our expert reviewers come from a variety of backgrounds, so try to use language in your proposal that will be understood by a general audience and avoid using too much jargon. Another significant portion of your score is the commercial potential of your technology. Make sure you have a strong understanding and a clear description of the market opportunity, the competitive landscape, and the commercial potential of the technology you are proposing to develop. A third key component of your proposal is innovation. One of the fundamental goals of the SBIR program is to stimulate technological innovation. So be sure to clearly address what problems you're solving, what makes your technology innovative, and what sets you apart from the competition or what is already available as a solution to that problem. Finally, your team is also an important component of your score. We want to make sure that you have the resources and the scientific and technical expertise necessary to complete the proposed work. Building a team that has all the necessary expertise is critical. Moving beyond the key components of your proposal, it is essential that you read and follow all of the instructions in the Notice of Funding Opportunity. Everything you need to know about what information you need to provide and how it needs to be organized is found in the NOFO. We can't accept incomplete applications, so please don't waste your time putting together an application that doesn't meet the minimum requirements and doesn't even get to go through the review process and get that critical feedback from reviewers in order to improve your proposal and apply again. We also recommend getting started early so you can make sure to give yourself enough time to develop a strong application and submit as early as you are able. In addition to giving yourself time to develop your proposal, there are all of the registrations that have to be completed. Give yourself a buffer in case you encounter obstacles because we're not able to accept late applications or give extensions regardless of the circumstances. Finally, especially if you are looking at more than one SBIR program, it is essential to know the details of the program, many of which I've addressed here today, as you are preparing your application. There are many differences between how the different agencies administer their SBIR programs, so don't assume that because you have applied for a National Science Foundation or a Department of Defense SBIR previously, that the NOAA application and process will be the same. Pay attention to the details, and you will have a stronger application and a greater chance of being awarded. So I know I laid out the NOAA mission at a high level, and as you can tell, the mission is pretty broad, and as we like to say, spans from the surface of the sun to the bottom of the sea. So the types of technologies that we support can vary widely. This slide shows a variety of technologies that NOAA has invested in through our SBIR program or over the last number of years to demonstrate some examples of the types of technologies that we fund. For example, the red drone in the middle center on this slide was developed as a disaster response drone for underwater mapping and searching in extreme locations. Or another example on the right side of the slide in the center, this radar image is a technology that provides real-time information about hazardous weather and delivers personalized weather warning notifications. Or another example, the second from the right on the bottom of the slide, this is a low-cost air quality sensor that provides increased data accessibility and combats air inequality issues. I am not highlighting these specific technologies to limit you to these areas, but really to demonstrate the wide variety of technology types that fit within the NOAA mission space. So now I'm going to pivot a little bit from SBIR specifically and talk about some other resources that are available for innovators who are interested in working with NOAA, or honestly, other federal agencies also have these resources as well. So, in addition to SBIR and STTR for innovation funding, there are a variety of other grants and contracts, as well as prizes and challenges. And these can be additional ways to find funding, particularly if you are working in those early stages of technology development. At NOAA, our other grants and contracts are typically arranged by technical area. So you would want to look on our website and on grants.gov based on keyword, depending on the technology and problem space that you are working in. Additional resources or mechanisms to work with the government include contracting with the government to provide a service or program. I'm also going to talk a little bit about cooperative research and development agreements, or CRADAs, and also touch on technologies available to license or data as a tool for innovation. So NOAA recognizes the critical role of small businesses in the United States economy and the accomplishment of NOAA's mission. We continually seek to create and maintain an environment for optimal participation by small businesses in NOAA contract awards. We have an annual industry day led by the NOAA Acquisition and Grants Office, and much of the content of that is now virtual, so anyone across the country can participate. We also have the NOAA Small Business Program Office, which is different from the SBIR program. This office supports small businesses who are interested in contracting with NOAA. So if you are looking for resources outside of SBIR and are interested in providing a service to NOAA as a small business, definitely reach out to the Small Business Office. So I've talked about opportunities for small businesses to apply for early stage funding. I also want to mention another way of doing business with NOAA, which is through formal partnerships called Cooperative Research and Development Agreements, or CRADAs. A CRADA is a written agreement between a private U.S. company, university, or other entity and a NOAA lab or science center to work together on a collaborative research and development project. The CRADA allows NOAA and non-federal partners to maximize their resources by sharing technical expertise in an environment where intellectual property emerging from the effort is protected, and the partner is encouraged to commercialize the results of the activity. There are a lot of different ways that this partnership can look. The non-federal partner can provide personnel, services, facilities, equipment, intellectual property, or other resources. And NOAA can provide personnel, services, facilities, equipment, intellectual property, and other resources. The main thing to point out here is that non-federal partners can provide funds, but NOAA cannot provide funding through a cooperative research and development agreement. So shifting gears, I want to talk a little bit about licensing NOAA technologies. We have developed a technology marketplace that includes open source licenses and restricted use licenses that are available for licensing. Um, these include innovative technologies developed in NOAA's labs, programs, and science centers. Our technology marketplace also has some technologies developed under our SBIR grant program. Um, this allows innovators to access existing technologies and move those towards commercialization. And these are available for license. If you want to learn more, please check out the NOAA Technology Marketplace. And finally, we are seeing a lot of data-based technologies these days. And so NOAA generates tens of terabytes of data a day from satellites, radars, ships, weather models, and other sources, all of which is available to the public. There is a wealth of opportunity for innovators working with NOAA data to solve problems and provide services related to climate, weather, oceans, and coasts. This slide has some additional resources if you want to learn more about what data is available and how to access that data. Finally, before we get to questions, there are a number of different ways you can connect with our office. You can email us with further questions at noaa.sbir@noaa.gov. Be sure to visit our website, which is techpartnerships.noaa.gov, where you can browse the technology marketplace, read about SBIR success stories, view previous funding opportunities and awards to learn more about what the application process looks like and what kinds of technologies we've invested in the past. And finally, be sure to join our NOAA SBIR mailing list if you want to find out when new funding opportunities are available. Finally, be sure to follow the NOAA Technology Partnerships Office on LinkedIn and on X. We are at NOAA Innovate. Here we share opportunities to connect with us in person via events that we're going to be attending, additional success stories and success stories of our partners and the small businesses that we funded, and a lot of really valuable information about what we're working on. With that, I'm going to stop sharing my slides, and as mentioned, we have lots of time to answer questions.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, please feel free to add questions to the Q&A down at the bottom if you've got any. So we can kind of get started. So the first one, it says, do all team members have to be currently employed by the company, or can they be independent contractors or planned future employees if funding is received? Especially with respect to the lead technical person.
Yeah, so one of the fundamental requirements of the SBIR program, the PI or principal investigator on the project has to be employed by the small business. That's a requirement across all SBIR programs. There is a additional allowance if you're applying through the STTR program, where the principal investigator can be employed by the partner research institution. But again, NOAA does not have an SBIR program. The other fundamental requirement of SBIR is that in phase one, the small business, 2/3 of the budget has to be spent by the small business. 2/3 of the work has to be done by the small business, which is measured by the budget. But you can award 1/3 of that to partners outside of the small business. That can include employees that are not employees, but contractors working with the company to provide additional technical or scientific expertise.
Awesome. Amazing. Well, that's the only question we have in there right now. I don't know if anyone else has any other questions that they want to put in the meantime. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess in the meantime, do you have any other tips and tricks that you suggest for people as they're getting ready to kind of start their, yeah, like begin the process, begin their SBIR journey, I guess?
Yeah, I would think if I were getting started, I would start on our website, and not just the NOAA SBIR website and Technology Partnerships Office website, but the broader NOAA website. This is a great way to start to understand what problems are important to us, and how we are thinking about them. Um, another approach to that would be to uh, find important people within the organization, the administrator, the chief scientist, and attend events, whether they're virtual or in person, and hear how they're talking about our organization and our problems and our priorities. That can be a really great it can provide really great insight into the problems that are of most importance, and those are the kinds of things that are going to get funded.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like we've got a couple other questions. So this says follow up on the team members as employees. Does the principal investigator have to be an employee at the time of application or by the time the grant is awarded?
Yep, that's a great question. So, the principal investigator only has to be an employee of the company at the time the project starts, so not at the time of application. So you can certainly we certainly have small businesses that are just formed for the purpose of this is the start of their small business, and so we don't expect someone to sit around and wait um, while while the process and the review process takes place and the administrative processes take place. So yes, it's definitely at the time the project starts, the beginning of the period of performance. The PI has to be an employee of the small business.
And then it says if you had to give an estimate, how long would it take to complete the application?
That's pretty challenging. If you want the the application process itself is probably not particularly time consuming, but really it's the process of developing your written proposal. I don't think that I mentioned in the slides, but our page limit is, so it's a 15-page technical proposal, and it includes a lot of technical details. So we certainly recommend several months in terms of the preparation process for developing a successful application.
And then the other question, are the topics for 2024 defined already?
So we have completed our 2024 competitions and are transitioning into 2025. So our next competition will be released in fiscal year 25, which would be calendar year. I get so confused about what year I'm living in this time of year because all of the agencies are talking about 2025.
Yeah.
Um, so our 2025 solicitation will be coming out in October, November timeline. Those topics have not been finalized, but the general approach that our program is taking should continue to be similar moving forward, which is we're issuing really broad, high-level topics with the goal of creating a space where if you are an innovator that is working on a problem that is related to the NOAA mission, there should be a topic for you. There should be a space for you within that solicitation.
Great. I know the fiscal year getting started and the federal fiscal year, of course, is on a weird has a weird time calendar year compared to the rest of the world.
Indeed.
So it says, how about the aquaculture topic? Also, different agencies focus on commercialization like NSF, USDA, which is more mission specific. Where does NOAA see itself?
Yes, so there will be an aquaculture topic. Aquaculture is a really important component of the NOAA mission, and will continue to be. And in terms, specifically and particularly aquaculture, but all of our topics, we're certainly uh, a commercialization focused agency. Commercialization is a really key part of the process, and it's definitely the ultimate end goal. Um, the thing to keep in mind, though, is that especially in phase one, you don't have to have it all entirely worked out in terms of what your commercialization process and experience will be. Most of the people, most of our companies coming in don't have a huge amount of commercial experience, coming in business experience at the front end of their project. That is why we have additional resources available to support you in understanding that process through our technical and business assistance program, which is offered at no additional cost to awardees as part of that process. So, but then thinking about phase one, you do want to have a general idea of where you are headed commercially, who your customer is going to be, who's going to pay for this technology, but you don't have to have the whole thing laid out in phase one.
And so kind of a follow-up to that, he said like TRL level heavy. So I guess my assumption is he's trying to figure out like kind of what TRL level you're looking for.
Yeah, so to apply to SBIR, we are looking for proof of concept feasibility studies. So we don't want technologies that are too far along. NOAA does not have a direct to phase two program, so you do have to be in that early proof of concept um, part of the development process. Um, we don't specifically define a end goal TRL level for our SBIR. For phase one, you need to get this far. Phase two, you need to get this far. And that's really because we deal with such a breadth of technology types within our organization that how far you can take a technology with that amount of time and that amount of funding varies pretty widely. If you're developing a new satellite, the amount of development that you're going to be able to complete in those timelines is going to be much different than if you're developing an AI technology that's incorporating weather data to predict some sort of impact, which you can probably get farther along. So we don't really compare stage of development past the point of you should be at the feasibility phase when you're starting.
Perfect. And then can you talk a little bit? So they said, how long is the review process typically? I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about what that review process looks like, and then yeah, the length.
Yeah, usually our if the application deadline was um, January, February, those awards are going to start June, July. And that is not just our scientific technical review, which takes a couple of months, but also the administrative execution of awards and the administrative review of proposals as well. So it's about a 6-month process overall from application deadline to award.
Perfect. Well, it looks like that was the last question we had right now. I don't know if anyone wants to put in a last second one, but yeah, really appreciate you joining us today and helping to answer all these fun questions and telling us a little bit more about the NOAA SBIR program and what y'all are looking for. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, really great chatting with you today. Definitely reach out to the team at noaa.sbir@noaa.gov if you have further questions. We're happy to talk more specifically if you have questions about your technology or about the process.
Great. And then, yeah, I will follow up with links and stuff for everyone as well, and a recording of today for people to watch back. So, um, perfect. Well, thank you again so much. Really appreciate your time. And then thank you everyone else for joining today. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their Thursday.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks so much.